Well, this here is my version of the Hinged Stiff Rig. It's a rig I've used for many years with very few changes, so I'm that confident in it. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it or used it yourselves, so I'm going to quickly run through how I tie this particular one up. To start with, on my Hinged Stiff Rig, I take 6 inches of the 25-pound chod filament, strip that off and just trim that there. Next, we're going to attach the hook, which is dead easy. It's just a knotless knot. On this particular rig, I like to use a size 6 chod hook. All you simply do is pass the chod filament through the eye of the hook so it runs parallel with the hook shank. I then put the filament round 6 times and then 1 time back over the original 6, which helps lock that knot in place so when you get a fish it won't slip. And then pass the stiff filament from the back towards the front of the hook. Pull that down nice and tight. That's it, that's your hook attached. Then I take a size 8 swivel. I like to use these size 8 swivels because they've got a little bit more weight to them than a size 11 ring swivel. So it helps weigh the pop-up down in and I need a little bit less putty. All I do is thread that on and then it's a case of a 3-turn blood knot. Oh, thread that round. 1, 2, 3, and then poke that through. Just moisten the knot down before you put it tight. I then take a couple of the puller tools to make sure they are all both nice and tight, both knots. Just push that down to the swivel. That's that section sorted. Next, I'll trim the tag ends. So the one at the swivel end, I'll trim that off at about 10mm, and the one at the hook end at about 20mm. And then I pass on a little mini hook ring swivel. Pass the ring through so the swivel's hanging freely onto the tag end at the hook. Pass that back through the same way as the hook link in the first place. So it goes through the back, out the front. Then taking a lighter, just blob the tag ends. So the hook one leaves about 10mm. Then when you push that through, that will create a nice D, ready for you to attach your hook bait to the swivel. And then at the other end, you have to do this one a bit carefully so you don't catch the knot, but just with your lighter, nice and gentle, and then blow it out before it gets too close. Squish that down with your finger. That's it. That's the chod section done. So you can see that's nice and neat. With this filament you can bend it with your finger so you don't need to steam it. That's that, nice and pretty. Next we'll attach the boom section. Today I'm going to use the 25-pound stiff coated hook link in organic brown. Sometimes I'll use a fluorocarbon if I'm not quite sure what I'm fishing over, but I know where I'm fishing today, it's nice and clean, so the stiff coated braid will kick out over the bottom nicely. I'll take about 12 inches of that, pass it through the eye of the swivel, bend the coated hook link back on itself, and then with the whole section, I'll tie a figure of 8 loop knot to create my loop, which then gives the rig a bit more freedom. That creates a loop, so in some scenarios people use a ring swivel. I like to use a loop because the knot there gives me something to mold my putty around shortly. Pull that down again, then using a puller tool, just use the hook to pull that down nice and tight. That's not going to go nowhere. Again, trim the tag end, don't need to leave as much this time, just a couple of mil. That knot's certainly not going to slip. So that's that side. Then I slide on an anti-tangle sleeve. By sliding one on now, it makes life a lot easier than trying to do it with a baiting needle when you go to cast the rig out. Poke that on, fin end first. And then it's a case of stripping the braid back where you want your other loop to be. I like to do this because it makes the knot a lot smaller for sitting inside the anti-tangle sleeve. To do this, I just use a puller tool, It's got a stripper section on there, which is great for this coated braid. Pull that back like so. And then it's a case of another figure of 8 loop knot, which I can simply slide onto a quick change swivel before pushing the anti-tangle sleeve up and over, keeping it all nice and neat before attaching my bait. Pull your knots down all nice and tight. These puller tools are great. Glow in the dark as well, so you shouldn't lose them. Run through one end, trim the tag end there. Pull that down. I'm going to add a bit of putty now, just over that knot. That helps counterbalance the pop up. I've made this rig so many times, I know how much putty I need exactly, but I'll always check it in the margin before casting it out, just to be on the safe side. Mould that round. Perfect. All that's left to do is steam the rig so it sits nice and straight, and then attach my hook bait.